Hi there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video, and welcome to episode 138 of Ask Boss Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my very best to answer them. You know the drill by now. We've been doing this a very long time. So if you do want your question answered next week, please leave it in the comment section below and hopefully you'll be featured. I do want to apologise to all the people that did leave a question in last week's episode. When I prepare this video and I do the little screen prints for me to use when making this video, there was over 40 that I wanted to use. Now I'm sure you can understand if I was to use 40 in a video, it would go on for probably nearly an hour, which is far too long. I want to keep these down to about 17, 18, 20 minutes max. So I do apologise to anybody. If you want your questions answered, please leave them in the comment section below and hopefully you'll be featured next week. With all that being said, let's get straight on to the first question of this week. Gerald Laboon says, question for next week, can you give your thoughts and opinions on some of the earlier 3 3/4 inch figure lines like the Legacy Collection and the original trilogy? Which, if any of these lines, do you collect? Thanks. So basically I collect them all loose. The only carded figures I really collect are the Vintage Collection. Apart from that, I love 3 3/4 inch figures loose out of the packaging to go on my barge or in my cabinets and what have you. And when you talk about the Legacy Collection, that for me is one of the best lines that they ever put out in terms of figure selection and the quality of the figures. Just got a couple of them for you here. So Cantina Aliens, for example, really good. And then you've got other great figures in the line like Jiran and the Rancor Keeper. You've got the Nikto Gunner as well. Some of those figures are so expensive on the secondary market now though these days. It's really a bit depressing really, because everybody should be able to own those figures in their collections, especially if you do have the Barge or the Jabba's Palace playset. Then really you want those figures in your collection. I do have a lot of the figures from the Saga collection as well loose in my collection, so we're talking figures like Garandan and Chief Chirper, you know, other ones that need to be updated and put into the Vintage Collection. Major Camo says, great video as always Tim. Question for next week, are there any vehicles from new media that you would like to see in the Vintage Collection? For me it would be the Imperial Trooper Transport dropship from the Mandalorian and Kenobi, or even the Imperial LAAT looking ship seen in the Andor trailer. So that's the gunship. Yeah, they look pretty cool, didn't they? For me, from the new media, it's got to be the N1 Starfighter, because it looks like he's going to be flying around that in the Series 3 of The Mandalorian quite a lot, so we're going to need that one, aren't we? Other ones, you know, again, from The Mandalorian, we need the speeder bikes. Not just the one that the IG-11 rides on, the white speeder bike, but also the one that the Mandalorian uses himself. They're used in quite a few episodes. They're also in the Book of Boba Fett. So for me, yeah, definitely be the N1 Starfighter, and also any type of speeder bike that's been in either the Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett. Hans Atcherberg says, hi Tim, first of all, thank you for the great videos. As I've just started collecting 2 months ago after seeing the Mandalorian series, your videos have been invaluable for orientation purposes in this hobby. Thank you, and no problem, my friend. Now the question, do you think we're ever going to see a Vintage Collection figures for the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian and the Client? Greetings from the Netherlands. Well, the good news is that the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian, or Paz Vizsla as he's also known, has been pipelined by Hasbro, so we definitely know he is coming, which is great news. As for the Client, that figure worries me slightly, because I'm trying to think of other figures that they could use to build that figure, because I do think a completely newly tooled figure or slot would be wasted on that figure. I do know that we need him for the playset that we have, and just for the figures in general from the Mandalorian series. We need the Client. I know that we do need him, but you know, if you think of all the figures that we need that are going to take a whole newly tooled figure, I don't know, I think the Client might be a bit of a waste, and I think Hasbro might think that as well. Hopefully there's a way they can get him out by using other figures, parts and what have you. Fire Nitro said, great video boss, question for next week, do you think I should wait for the Dark Trooper single release or just get the 4-pack with Mando and Gideon? Same with the Obi-Wan 3-pack with the Purge Trooper. So in terms of the Dark Trooper, I mean, it really depends, doesn't it? I mean, if you only want the one Dark Trooper and you don't need the sort of charging station that they stand in that you're going to get with the deluxe pack, then go for the SDCC version, because then you'll also get the Mando with the soft good cape and the Gideon with the soft good cape. If you don't really care about those other figures, then I would probably just wait for the standard release and get a couple of them basically, because I would imagine that many of you out there have already got a Mandalorian and a Moff Gideon and you don't really care about the soft good capes and all the fire effects and everything that come with that set. So you're probably best just waiting for that single release. Another question about the Dark Trooper from channel supporter Stephen Novak. He says, hey Tim, do you feel they will release the Dark Trooper on a carded vintage collection as well as the deluxe box? I feel it will, because they announced it as in the pipes. Keep up the good work, love the videos. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just because it is a pipelined figure doesn't necessarily mean it will be a carded figure. I'm not sure if that's the case. But we've seen with Ahsoka that they did put her on a single card and in a deluxe box. Maybe the deluxe box just to get out all of those extra accessories and also, you know, make twice the money. But what I can say is that, you know, Hasbro want to make as much money off each figure as possible, right? So they're doing the deluxe boxed version in the main line, and then they're doing the SDCC version to get more use out of that figure. Why not just, you know, once everyone's bought those, essentially, because that's what they want you to do, why not release him on a single card, single bubble, without the sort of charging station accessory and just the figure and the blaster? I can see them doing it, but I think it'll be a long way. They're going to want you to buy that deluxe pack first, basically. Mazin Lab says, hi Bossk, I'm new to your channel and so far I've enjoyed a lot of the content you have made on these weeks. Question for next week, do you think that in the very far future Hasbro will make an Imperial Jumptrooper stroke rocket troopers for the vintage collection? Your thoughts on this idea? I could definitely see them doing that. They've released him in the Black series. They've got the mould of the Stormtrooper, you know, minor adjustments to the helmet or whatever. And they've got the Gaming Greats line now in the vintage collection. So I could definitely see a Jump Trooper from the Battlefront 2, for example, on a vintage card. I can definitely see that happening. I'm not saying it will. I don't know if anything's coming in that respect, but I can definitely see it's something that they would do. Going Bork says, another great video, Tim. I'm so excited for the rescue set. I have another question. Is there a most prized clone figure that you have? Well, if you're talking carded, then I've got to bring this in. A lot of you have already seen this already on the channel. I've showed it off a few times, but this is my error card, upside down clone trooper, VC15 I think he is, on that foil card. This was actually a gift from a fan of the channel called Jeff. I hope you're doing well, Jeff, wherever you are, my friend. But he gifted me this along with lots of other cool stuff. And I absolutely love this thing. So I got it graded. It got a UKG 85 and I just love it. So that's one of my prized possessions, not only because it was a gift, but also because it's a vintage collection error card. In terms of loose clone troopers, I absolutely love the Airborne Trooper. I mean, if you compare this to what we're getting these days, I mean, you know, it's chalk and cheese for me. The detail and accuracy of the mould for these guys is unbelievable. And I really do hope that if they ever do a new clone body, that they, you know, give us the Airborne Troopers as well on a vintage style card, both in this blue and for the orange of the 212th. I absolutely love the design. Let's try and bring him a bit closer for you. Absolutely love the design of those guys. And as I said, I just much prefer them to what we get these days. Although I do love the 332nd. It's not the battalion or anything that I dislike. It's the skinny clone mould, which I've mentioned so many times before. It's probably getting boring. Cisco Deer says, hey BB, I'm loving the content. A question for next week is, will we ever get a Mon Mothma for the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary for TVC? Thank you. Well, I think the fact that she's going to be heavily in the Andor series, it looks like to me, then I think that raises the possibility that we could see a Mon Mothma figure in the future. I really do hope that they don't put her on an Andor card and they actually sort of just use the fact that she's in the show as an opportunity to give us the Return of the Jedi version on a Return of the Jedi card back. I think that's the best possible solution for me anyway. Let me know in the comments if you agree, but I personally would like to see her on a Return of the Jedi card. And as you say, it's the anniversary next year, so who knows, we may see that. Starkiller says, question for next week, what 5 figures do you think are an absolute must for Hasbro to make that they've missed? I'll get the ball rolling with Count Dooku, as he has to be on the list as he's such an iconic character. Yep, Count Dooku would definitely be on my list of ones that I think they've missed. So this isn't necessarily my top 5 figures that I want in the vintage collection, because there's so many new media shows and things like that that would be very difficult for me to say. And also, you're talking about all the sort of original heroes, which they've done before, so they haven't missed them. It's just that they need updating massively. So in terms of 5 figures that I think that they've missed, Count Dooku's definitely in there. He should have been in TVC 1.0 for me. Then you've got Krennic. Krennic, when the Rogue One figures were coming out, we definitely needed Krennic. He's like the main villain from the film, so we needed him. Season 1 Greef Karga probably isn't a popular one out there for many of you, but if you think about all of the other characters that we've got from the Mandalorian with the Razor Crest and things like that, Season 1 Greef Karga for me is a huge miss, especially with that playset that we got of the Cantina and what have you. I would put Baze Malbus in that list, again from Rogue One, purely because we've got Chirrut Îmwe and we've got most of the other heroes from Rogue One. Bodhi Rook is another one, but for me, because we have got Chirrut, Baze Malbus is a huge miss for me. And then, just for fun, I'm going to throw the Tonica Sisters in there, because the Tonica Sisters have never been made in action figure form, and we've got lots of other Cantina aliens and Cantina patrons, so the Tonica Sisters as well is a huge miss. Rhett Roberts says, hey boss, question for next week. Do you think the Vintage Collection will start doing repacks and new figures from Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith again? I don't have any of those myself. Also, do you think little Bossk will start collecting like you and start doing YouTube videos himself, perhaps when he's older? Well, to answer the second part of that question, he's already done YouTube videos on his own channel. I don't advertise it too much, but I will play a little clip that I found from one of them. He just makes me laugh in all of his videos. He's great. But yeah, he collects action figures like me, and he watches YouTube videos and he watches my channel. So of course he likes being on my videos and he likes making his own videos. So you never know. He might grow out of it, but at the same time he might want to do it as he gets older. I don't know.
I reckon if it's green, it works.
Cool. And does this bit come off? Because this is where Chewie sits, doesn't he?
Chewie and Han Solo.
So you go in there as well. This is an awesome set, isn't it?
I remember this comes up.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So this is your favourite present, wasn't it, for Christmas? It's amazing. Wow. So if any of you guys have got one of these, give us a thumbs up.
My dad has one of these, but his is old.
He has an old one, yeah.
I've got a new one.
When he was a little boy, he had one.
In terms of the question about Episode 3, I mean, we may have to wait until some kind of anniversary or whatever to get some reissues and some new figures, but there's definitely lots that they can pull from Revenge of the Sith. Brilliant movie, best of the prequels for me. And yeah, I mean, clones galore in that film, isn't there? Channel member Owen Brown says, awesome episode, Tim. My question for next week is, with the recent reissues of the Republic Trooper and Shae Vizsla, do you think we will soon get a reissue of Darth Malgus? I unfortunately missed out on him and he is a bit pricey on the secondary market. Thanks as always for the great content. I've put him here for you. I think that that's a big possibility that we could get that, as you know, purely because of what you've just said there. They've already reissued the Republic Trooper and Shae Vizsla, which were two very expensive figures on the secondary market and popular characters as well from TVC 1.0, and I think I'd put Darth Malgus in that as well. He's a great figure, great looking figure, great card back, expanded universe. I can see them doing it 100%. Bill Polk says, hey BB, I listened to you and a few others and bought the Blue Milk TVC book. Man, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. My favourite part is the section on all of the vehicles. I love the myriad of design details too. What do you like best about the book? So I made a video about the unreleased items from the Vintage Collection. That is hands down my favourite part of the book. I will leave a card just up here for that video. Love all that stuff, and I love all the little tidbits they give you about some of the figures and the design choices and things like that. The whole book is brilliant. I recommend anybody that hasn't got that book to go out and get it. I think you can still get it from their website and what have you. Blue Milk TVC archive book. It's brilliant. Steve Martin says, hi Tim, question for next week. Do you think we'll ever get a blue Snaggletooth in the Vintage Collection? Keep up the great work, mate. So this is blue Snaggletooth from the Vintage line, and I want to say a massive thank you to Collector 1970 for actually gifting me this. An unbelievable gift. Still can't get over that, my friend. So thank you so much to you, buddy. As for the Vintage Collection, I think if you didn't mind them repainting this guy blue like they kind of did in the Power of the Force 2 line, they did that with the blue Snaggletooth, then I think we'd probably get it. I don't think you'd ever see a new figure for blue Snaggletooth. It would have to be a complete repaint. So if you didn't mind them doing it for this guy, then they'd probably do it. Morgan Pogue says, hi Bossk, love the content, keep up the good work. Question for next week. With all of the figures from Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor being announced, do you think we will get a Vintage Collection Cal Kestis? So I think this figure is inevitable. We've got to get this figure in the vintage collection. If you look at Jason from Yakface's page for the vintage collection, he has him as a rumoured item there. I don't think we're too far away from Cal Kestis being revealed by Hasbro at some point. I've just got a feeling that he's due this year, basically. So let's hope for that. Keep our fingers crossed. James Birch says, very simple question for next week, and one that may have been asked before. Do you anticipate that Hasbro will continue with the retro multi-packs like the A New Hope 6-pack? Moving on to ESB, and with the 40th anniversary coming up, the Return of the Jedi. Also, do you think they'll eventually branch out and do ones for the Mandalorian, Kenobi, etc.? Thanks for keeping up with the great content. I'm not too sure about multi-packs for the Mandalorian and what have you, but also I'm not too sure if they could do it for the Return of the Jedi and the Empire Strikes Back, because as far as I'm aware, this box is based on a Sears exclusive. Now, I do know that Nick from Only One Kenobi has reviewed this, had a look at the cards and what have you. I'm not too sure if I'm going to bother opening mine, really. I just wanted it for the awesome box, really. But as I say, I think it's based on a Sears exclusive from back in the day. So unless there's a Sears exclusive for The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, would they be able to do something similar? I don't know. But I think as a one-off, this is pretty cool. But I hope they don't keep reissuing these figures in different ways. That one is a one-off in my opinion, because it is a recreation of that Sears exclusive, and yeah, I hope they just end it there, to be honest. Daniel Coleman says, knocking another Q&A out the park. Great stuff. Question for next week. Have you ever been to the USA? What would encourage you to make a trip? If you could always swing by North Carolina for a home-cooked meal and a beer. Well, thanks for the offer there, mate. I do appreciate that. I have been to the USA on 4 or 5 occasions. It's always been the East Coast, so I've been to Florida twice, New York 3 or 4 times. I went to Toy Fair and what have you. And yeah, I'd love to visit again. I'd love to visit my mate John from the Action Figure Grader. Maybe we could go to the ICCC convention or whatever. That would be pretty cool. There's loads of reasons why I'd love to go to the States again. You know, I'd love to take my family there again. But yeah, if I ever do go over there again, I now have got so many people that I'd love to meet up with. It'd be awesome. Darianella says, how come we haven't got a TVC Kenner style Boba Fett? And do you think they'll make the all black Fett for us TVC fans too? Thanks, love the show. So you're talking about that one that they've just revealed for the Black Series, the all black Fett. And I think, let's face it, when you're looking at the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett and how much money it would have cost them to produce that figure, and so far we've only got that one and the Droids Boba Fett that use that mould, I think. So if you look at that black Boba Fett that they've done for the Black Series, I think that's the 10th time they've released that mould from the Black Series, which is crazy. I think Jason from Yakface put something up the other day with all the different versions that they've made. So if you think that they're finished with this one, they're not. They're going to be releasing other figures using that mould without a doubt. And it's a great shout, the Kenner style one. They've done that in the Black Series before, haven't they? That would be awesome. Braddock843 says, hi Boss, great stuff as always. My question for next week is, do you think Hasbro will start off the no bubble packaging with a highly sought after character to kick things off with a bang? Someone like Count Dooku or Farm Boy Luke? And will this officially start TVC 3.0? Thanks again for all you do for the hobby. So regarding the plastic free packaging for the vintage collection, I'm kind of softening my stance on this a little bit. I know we all sort of went into meltdown a little bit when they did the G.I. Joe or the Marvel, I think it was, live stream, where they suddenly revealed plastic free packaging within one of those live streams. And I think then after that they had some live streams with a few YouTubers and they asked the question, and there was even one of the sort of Marvel team that is a carded collector. That is how he collects, and he sort of said that it's an unfortunate thing, but it's moving forward and all that kind of stuff. Well, we're yet to see anything from the Star Wars team as of yet. They haven't even confirmed or denied that it's happening. And for me, that's a plus. The whole time that that happens, that we don't hear anything from the Star Wars team about plastic-free packaging, makes me believe that it's not going to happen for the vintage collection at least. And that for me is a plus. So until we do hear anything that the packaging is going to change, if it's going to change, then it's good news as far as I'm concerned. It's the old saying, no news is good news. And at the moment, there's no news. So why would they come out and say, hey, guess what? Vintage collection is not going to be part of the plastic-free packaging. Because at the end of the day, they haven't said it is going to be yet. So let's all keep our fingers crossed with no news is good news going forward. And until there is some news, I don't think we need to worry. And the final question of this week's episode, we have Sosmog2, who says, do you think they are going to put Hunter with all of the Bad Batch or just on a card back? Question for next week. So I think what you're saying there is, you know, are we going to get Hunter with all of the other Bad Batch characters in some kind of deluxe set, or, you know, some carded set or something, or is he just going to be on his own card back? As far as I'm aware, Hunter has been pipelined by himself, and as far as I'm aware, he's going to be in one of the early waves of 2023 on his own card back as part of the main line, as part of a wave. That's as much as I know right at this minute. Alright then guys, that's it for this week's episode. Once again, I do apologise not being able to fit everybody's questions in. There was just so many questions, but please do not let that deter you. Please leave your questions for next week's episode in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members, and also I do apologise for that one commenter last week that says I do speak too fast. I do apologise for that, guys, but I do want to get through as many questions as I possibly can in the video. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.